Mic is live. We should be good.
All right.
No good being sick. Jim should be here shortly, but we've got 4 of us.
That's a good idea.
Got a quorum.
Where'd you get that in?
Up in by the stairs.
All right. Call it, it is 3:03 p.m. This meeting called to order. Notice of Maritime Safety Committee of the City of Nassau Bay, Texas. This notice is posted in pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the Maritime Safety Committee of the City of Nassau Bay, Texas will hold a meeting on March 6, 2025 at 3 p.m. at the City Hall Council Chambers, 1800 Space Park Drive, Suite 200, Nassau Bay, Texas, 77058. Let's call to order. Roll call. Jim's here. Herb is here. Jeff. Stone's here. Stella. And then our non-voting members here. Both chiefs, Paul, and special guest Mayor Johnson. All righty.
Hi, Jim. Hey.
Hey. Citizens' comments. Comments will be reserved 3 minutes. Speak your mind on any agenda item here. If you would, I do request that you raise your hand and stand up, identify yourself, name, address, and speak loudly and clearly so that the audio can catch you.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Brian. I'll step over here so everyone can see me. Hey, everyone. My name's Pete Soroka. I've lived in Nassau Bay, 18226 Nassau Bay Drive. I've lived in Nassau Bay now for 23 years. And so on Nassau Bay Drive, and we have Cow Bayou in our backyard. I've got one of my neighbors, Frank Zamaron's over representing Nassau Bay Drive as well. And I talked to my other neighbors, Lucky Kilmer and Debbie Byerly and Jerry Roth, and they asked me to represent them as well. So, I'm so glad, thank you all for volunteering and putting the committee together, Mayor Johnson for putting the committee together. And when Mayor Johnson was talking about getting the approval from City Council and putting the committee together and have these meetings, I told Phil, I said, well, you put that together. Don't forget the no wake signs in Cow Bayou, right? True story. So then I've spoken to Brian about that as well. And so as it used to be, like when Paul, you've been with us over 15 years now, right? Nassau Bay?
Almost 15.
Yeah, so about 15 years ago, how it would work, we have just, when you come out of the Nassau Bay Marina and you turn right, you head north, then you go by Frank's house, my house, etc. There's only one no wake sign that's on a piling out there. So how it used to be, and of course it would get the hurricanes and Ike and anything knock them down. Well, then other storms, high tide, low tide, that would put pressure on the sign, and the sign would wiggle like a tooth getting loose. So I would call Paul and I'd say, hey Paul, just give you a heads up, you're about to lose the sign, and he could get a crew out there, get his guys out there, and they save the sign. So that's kind of how it worked. But we really haven't had much representation, and we need more signs because we only have that one sign. And once you go past that sign headed north, you go by the house which goes towards the Nassau Bay Bridge. Well, there's no wake sign. So the jet skiers in particular, they come flying down there because it's a nice stretch of water, calm, etc. And then when they turn around at the bridge and they come back, they don't see any sign, not even the one no wake sign that's there. So what I just request on behalf of my neighbors, and Frank, don't know if you have anything to add as well, but it's just that now, I know now we've got your attention, and we always with the mayor's getting funding, that now's the time if you could add more no wake signs going up to the Nassau Bay.
And just to be clear, that's always been a no wake zone up through there.
Correct, yeah.
What I understand.
Right, well, we just haven't had, so not change anything, Phil, but just to put the signs there. And we know, and people have said, well, even with the no wake signs, the people will still blow through that. Absolutely correct, but it does deter, and it would be helpful. So that's an easy one, but thank you for having this committee, and Brian's a good resource, and I sent him a little video. I don't know if you shared that or not.
I hadn't had a chance to share the video you sent.
Okay.
If you want to, I can forward it to you. It's just kind of some video of his.
Got it. And then Frank, did I miss anything or anything to
Exactly,
add?
yelling at Hurricane Harvey, is that all you got?
Yeah, well, no, that's not the one, this is what I mean, I still have that one too.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Frank Zamron, his neighbor, two houses down. Just add to from that sign going south, there's not another no wait sign until you get to the end of the Cal Bayou turning left toward the park. So when people come out from the apartments across, or the townhomes across, or even coming out of the marina, they go left or right for that matter, because the right sign is several houses away. They don't see the signs, and they might not have the same consideration or boat, another word, I guess, compassion or whatever.
Or education.
Yeah, there you
Right.
go.
To understand that you should only go so many knots before you, turn it up, so, that's it.
Thank you, Frank.
Charlie Bowman. I live on Barbuda, just down the water from these guys, 18526 Barbuda. I will testify that there's no wait signs that anybody pays attention to. And even if they were there, I'm not sure it mattered. If you guys want to enforce no wake, rather than putting a new one up in a body of water that people zoom through, why don't you come over and enforce that one? Because it is, every other boat going by there is throwing a wake off. But that's not really why I'm here. I'm here just to say, if the rumor's true that there's an ultimate plan to make a no wake along the park, please don't do it. For all of us that live over on that side of the city, all you're doing is linking in every time we take our boat out, you're gonna double the amount of time it's gonna take us to go. That may be great for folks living on the east side of Nassau Bay, but for those of us that back up to Cal Bayou, all you're doing is not destroying, harming my property value, because you're making it that much longer for me to get to Clear Lake. So please don't do that. And I would just say, I'm not the city's lawyer, as Phil knows, but I can't help practicing law every time I look at something. I don't think Nassau Bay has any legal ability to limit.
We're gonna get into that, that's why I'm here too. So.
Well, that's why I'm here. I've read the statutes. I don't think the city can limit, could put a no wait sign right there in Clear Creek. And so if you're gonna build any sort of structure that brings more kayakers, which will mean swimmers and fishermen, in an area where you can't then limit the speed, I think that portends bad things. And if the city knows it can't put a no wait zone there, and puts some device attracting low speed boats, I'd be afraid what that does for the potential liability of the city. If the city disagrees and thinks they can put a no wait zone, I would really be interested in the legal opinion that supports that. But if you can't do it, I think it's just a bad idea to put a kayak launch there, because those boats are not slowing down, and that's just gonna lead to potential disaster. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Frank.
Brian, you ready?
Fire away, Glenn.
Glenn Venables, Caprice Lane. I just generally wanted to kind of raise a yellow card or flag about rules and regulations in general. And with good intention, city council creates a new committee like the Maritime Commission, and there are others, there will be others. And there's always a tendency for a committee or commission to create new rules and regulations. And I think it's very easy to listen to a few very loud voices that have an issue with something that occasionally occurs, and then penalize freedom and rights of many. And I'm certainly opposed to a new wake zone on the creek, like the previous speaker mentioned, and I think you have to consider the enforcement aspect. The number of hours, I think, I got this right when I looked at, the number of hours our city boat spends on the water is not very great. I think last year it was out 20 days for an average of 4 hours, like total of 80 hours. The data I looked at was correct. So you have to consider the enforcement. If you can't enforce it and people ignore it, then what good is all this energy creating new rules and regulations? So just please consider the bigger picture and anything you come up with, consider the general population. That's about it.
Thank you, Glenn.
I'd like to say something. Do I have to stand?
You don't have to stand, just state your name.
Okay, Kathy Huff, and I live on Cape Town. I want to read a text message from some guys at the marina, okay? Do I have to say their names? Omar O'Botton, Brandon Billings, and my husband Jack Huff. Dear Marine Committee, Safety Committee, I'm writing on behalf of a group of boaters and residents of the Nassau Bay who regularly boat and kayak on Clear Creek. We have recently heard rumors of a potential proposal from the Marina Safety Committee to create a no-wake zone around the kayak launch on Clear Creek. After discussing the matter amongst ourselves, we would like to express our strong opposition to this idea. While we acknowledge that the current kayak launch is poorly designed and located in an area that is not frequently used by kayakers, we believe that implementing a no-wake zone in this area would create unnecessary restrictions on boaters and not address the real issues. Instead, we propose the kayak launch be relocated or removed with more focus placed on the existing launch at Upper Bay, or creating a new launch using the city-owned lot located at the end of Devon, is that how to say that straight?
Devon.
Okay, on Cal Bio. Both locations are already designed no-wake zones. We strongly encourage the council to reconsider this potential plan and look for better solutions that do not unduly impact the boating community. Additionally, we would appreciate if you would notify us of any upcoming discussions on this topic, particularly if they get cut off. While I'm talking about water safety, my concern is on the lake. Those buoys and those poles are not lit up. Now, I don't know if that has anything to do with Nassau Bay, but on the lake, all the way to Clear Lake Shores, a lot of them are not lit. And we do a lot of night boating, and it's very dangerous. So. Thank you.
Do you want me to say anything about some of what I think Charlie was saying about Galveston Camp, about what our authority?
Yeah, we did.
Just, I think if you were at the workshop, the actual county line that separates Harris County from Galveston County runs through the creek, through the middle of the creek. So we only have jurisdictions on our side, which means we don't have total jurisdiction of the creek. And to do that would have to get not only just the approval of the bodies that have jurisdiction there, but there'd also have to be some sort of interlocal agreement that would actually transfer the authority for our emergency response, our police, things along that line, to be the body that enforces that. There's none of that work's even been done or started or anything along that line. So even if you wanted to say, we want to do that, we cannot. So I just want to put that out there first. And this is particularly in regards to a no-wake zone.
On the creek.
On the creek. On the creek.
Once you get inside.
Once you get inside, we've annexed our side of the creek, but I think it's, we don't have authority along the whole creek. We only have authority to be annexed.
Puts about halfway across there is about, I'd say 160 feet, give or take, 150, 160.
And I personally don't know with the way the creeks moves, the county lines don't move, right? So I don't even know if the center line is that we just use that as a anecdotal means by which to do that. But I haven't seen a survey go out there, and I'm just gonna say 20 years to say when that center line, you know, what it is.
Well, the city publishes its own map of the corporate, of its corporate boundaries, and it goes nowhere near the city.
I mean, I'm just saying is.
That may be the county line.
That's my point.
That's the county line, it's not the city line.
Yeah.
The city line's even narrower than that, it's.
No,
anything
no,
10 or 20
because
feet.
we annexed to the county line.
Well,
So,
I don't believe that's what our corporate,
I'm just saying is well, that's a different topic, but it is, it is.
I just don't think it's right.
Anyways, whether it's right or not, we don't have Galveston County. I was involved when it was annexed, so I'm pretty sure it is.
All right, last call for public comment?
Where, I wasn't involved in that initial meeting. When was that initial meeting? Is that for-
About a year ago.
About a year ago.
Year ago today, almost. It was in February of 2024. Yep.
I do have a question. Are wake zones, do they pertain to jet skis? They do, okay.
Yeah.
Because I heard that they don't. I'm not a fan of jet skis, but, I hear them all the time, even at night,
Yeah.
like 3 o'clock in the morning, I hear them. Yeah, and that's
Well, is it
not
speed
good.
or wavelength? I thought it was
I
wavelength.
thought it was both. I thought in no way had some
It's just
speed
the wake.
limits into it.
If you're a flat bottom and you're not producing a wake, you go slow. Until you produce a
Until
wake.
you-
It's just weight, but there, depending on the signage, there are signage that also limit speed.
Correct.
So it depends on how it's posted.
Very true.
Which would then be the headway speed, which is one of our ordinances deals with headway speed, which is just enough speed to actually be able to go against the current and make progress.
And I know from the feedback that I've gotten is most of it's about wake rather than speed. It's disturbance rather than the speed.
Hey, Brian, can I add before we close out? So with that being said, if you add 2 or 3 more no wake zone signs in Cal Bayou, can you also put speed on there as well? Because that's what they're just saying, some of the signs have
Part of
both.
the ordinance, have to be
Yeah.
part of the ordinance.
Well, actually, as long as they're within 50 feet of any structure. So if you have a dock, which you do, anything within 50 feet of that structure is required minimum headway speed.
Okay.
So now maybe reminders of that
Yeah.
would be good to post. It's a slow belt through that area.
But if we can put the speed on along with the no wake sign, then we kind of get 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, just
Right.
and that is minimal speed, and that's in the city ordinances from 2007 or 8 or something like that, I believe. So it's been on the books for quite some time.
Good.
So, all right, we'll go ahead and close out the public comment. It's 3:21. Committee member comments. Just gonna kind of start.
I have one. I think that, using the terminology needs to be more clear. You say headway speed or no wake speed, I mean, I think some of that stuff needs to be defined among us, so we're talking the same language.
Yes, okay.
Operationally defined.
Huh?
Operationally defined.
Yes, yes. Because everybody's got a different term for this and that.
Yeah, I think it is defined in ordinance. So we probably just need to stick with that language.
I think we just need to educate
Yeah.
ourselves, so everybody uses the same language properly.
All right, so we'll start with you for the full committee member comments, then, Jim.
Well, the thing I would say is, I know what Pete's talking about, because, you know, I have no boat at that marina, and I mean, it's a war zone over there sometimes on the jet skis. I mean, it is crazy. And there's homes right there too, so everybody's got a dock over there, and those boats come through, go banging up. Kind of a few years ago, we had a guy that, just down the street from the marina, he came back in his 40-foot boat, he just jumped on, 2 jet skis came hauling butt on, young kids, powerful jet skis. And I didn't realize jet skis, limited in the state of Texas to go 70 miles an hour by the US Coast Guard. But some of them do overseas up to 140 miles an hour, they're very fast. So he came up and he was just so hot underneath the collar, and I just said to the kid, I said, guys, gotta look what you're doing. When they're doing it, they're banging his boats up against the dock. that point, they're liable. And that's what people do not know. In any location, right?
Yeah, you're always responsible for your own weight.
Right.
That's one of the bases of admin. Herb?
Nothing specific, I just really appreciate the feedback and the input, from the residents. There's a lot to consider from the, dual-sided, signage to being able to just in general, balance recreation and safety.
That's right.
You know, and I think that's what the focus of this committee is about, not so much safety, but it is a recreational area, but it is the balance of both recreation and safety. But I'm just excited to hear what everyone has been talking about, just so that we can, come to a pretty good middle ground, that, again, that balances recreation and safety. I think it's important for the community and for the voting community, definitely. And I just love what I'm hearing so far.
So, question is, we're the voting Maritime Safety Committee, not Recreation Committee, we're the Safety Committee.
Understood. I don't know if that was direct.
I don't know
what
what
I
you
just
said,
said,
but
but-
that's what we are, I mean, kind of referring to.
But
It's a recreational
I would tell
area,
you, Jim,
so.
in all the service that I've done in all the different committees, it may be that you're a safety committee, but you don't, you have to understand the reality of what's going on. There are people recreating.
Of course, of course, of course.
So you're talking safety while people recreate, so how do you, don't, it's, how do you not screw the pooch while you do what you wanna do? So it's a balance.
Where do you find the
That's what it was
balance?
in the
Where does
workshop, we
Where does
said.
your freedom end and the other person's begins? And that's the balance that has to be.
I think that was the charge we said back at the workshop. I mean, we are a waterfront recreational community. We have a marina as part of our community and homeowners association. So how do you balance those two things? It's not a right and wrong, it's two rights.
So question, I think Ron clarified it, so I just wanted to get clarification. So, people were concerned about the upper end of the peninsula and the channel markers through there. So that got changed by the city a couple months ago, I guess, from no accessory to no wake zones. And then I think Brian declared that did we annex part of that property from Harris County?
So back in, I believe don't give me the exact date, it's either 1999 or 2000 or so.
Right.
Right, we annexed all the Harris County property that went from, the waterfront boundaries on Harris County, all the way to the Hilton Hotel at the time. And so all that is now city responsibility. And we did that because we wanted to have at the time, the main driver was we wanted to be able to control the dredging of the things. And we had to have the right to be able to dredge there.
Okay.
That was what it was,
I guess
so that's how it started.
Okay.
And we had to be able to, understand or be able to have control our destiny by having it part of the city to be able to do things. Otherwise, it'd have to be the county.
So
That's
that's
what I think you're saying.
So that city limits all the way from the peninsula out to the
My understanding is it goes even halfway through Cal Bayou. It goes all the way down, to the creek, and it goes around the park, goes all through there. I mean, if I were to be right here, right now.
Here's your zoning map. It shows-
Yeah, it's just gonna go right here. Right? Yeah, so this is already,
That's Cal Bayou.
yeah, but but it comes like here. And then it does something funky where it goes like that,
Yeah.
and then over.
Here's the city zoning map, has the corporate limits on it.
And the no wake zone that affects Cal Bayou up by the houses and all that is essentially from Nassau Road 1 all the way down to the water intake, down there by the treatment plant. That's the-
Again, and we wanted the dredge across the front of the peninsula, we wanted to go inside there. We also wanted to dredge get all through Swan Lagoon, places like that, we needed to have jurisdiction. That was the purpose back in, again, don't give me the exact, 1999, 2001.
I think I would just say on the safety and recreation piece, I think that, obviously the safety is the component, I think that, making waterways safe for all types of usage, I should say, will encourage more usage, right? I think that, I'd like to see personally just more usage of more, access to all the waterways by the citizens of Nassau Bay. And I think ensuring the committee puts safety measures in place to allow them to do that safely will help. So I think that if we do our job right, we'll see recreation as a whole, all aspects increase.
Chief? Police chief? Okay.
I'm not sure, I'm curious about the kayak launch. The original one that's there now, on maybe one's been here about 5 years, and many people have commented, people contacted me too. I kayak on, it's almost not used at all. It's really, very rare.
My understanding is that was when it was just the on-ground was repaired. There were some things there. That ramp used to go out further.
It did?
It used to, but that was years ago, Scott, years ago.
And then a proposal for the new ramp, I guess, heard is kind of targeted for that area, but of course not approved. That's a Parks Committee project?
You want me to say where things lie right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this was an approved budget item as part of the year. It was originally brought up by Jim. I think his intent was to, provide for kayak launch for his Camp Hope, things along that line. They get, we have events now that's becoming annual where we have 30 to 50, PTSD veterans who come into our community, and he was looking at the infrastructure more from an event standpoint. We were looking at it from the city. I think there's some of what you were talking about is just to provide. I know there's a very strong majority that believes the city should make sure that there's proper ingress and egress for our major waterways. I think I mentioned that to Brian. And that's kind of manifested itself into the two things, which is on Upper Bay Road. If you look at it last council meeting, I was given the authority to negotiate with the homeowners association. They set up Kennedy to do that. And the outcome that both sides want is for the city to take over ownership of those finger piers. They're in bad shape. And we want to, just like we're doing things, we probably upgrade those. We may do that with a floating dock, don't know yet. But it's very important that if somebody in a high travel area needs to get off the water quickly, is there a safe way to do that? Is there a safe way for people to get in to do things? And the other high travel areas is the area where we're talking right now. It's the largest width area, and while nobody's really set on that spot, that was just considered the best spot, and we can talk about that too. The definition of it has all been through. I think some people here have even seen that. I think it's a 31-foot dock. There's a 14-foot aluminum ramp to it, but only not even half of that is really pushing it out. So it's pushing about 35 plus feet out into the waterway. And I think I did this was, I said, if we're gonna have a slip in there, it's no extra charge or anything like that. As I said, make it so that your boat could be able to slip in,
There's too shallow, we tried.
Did you? So that's, even if it's out, 40 feet?
Yeah, we can't get that close, it's too shallow.
So, well, maybe that would maybe help us save some money. That was me at the end, just saying, if you're gonna do it, so at least, there's, if it's a possibility they could. I didn't want it to be not thought of as we were going through. But, in any event, that's the reasoning behind it. At least from there, I don't think the parks even, entered into anything around whether it should be a wake or no wake. I think that's part of what's coming out of here. And, I do believe, I'm gonna really emphasize what you said, I think we gotta be very careful how we go forward, because we don't want to eliminate or make it so we're no longer a recreational community. We have a very strong boating community, and it's just how do we balance it all? I mean, again, there's people who have said, instead of this location, maybe looking at it at right up by the marina where, there's right there on Davon Lane, there's that area there. That's just really close to some place that already has a proper way to get them on and off.
Right.
But, I don't think anybody has said that it has to be here. It just, from the things I look at, I would be hard pressed to see if you're gonna put it anywhere. This is probably the best place to put it, so.
You're talking about on Upper Bay?
No, I'm talking about the one on the creek.
Right, the creek, okay.
Yeah.
Chief, what is the fireboat draw?
Right at 31 inches.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and most recreational boats are.
And, let me say that one last thing, just so everyone knows, the boat has, the invoice or anything like that, nothing's been paid for on the boat, so a lot, basically I got it all, and I said, let's put this on hold, this needs to be talked through a little bit more, so there's I've got some real questions, because it's a riverine system. I wanna make sure, that's what I mentioned to Brian too, is I've got some real questions to make sure that, if we put in that it's something that's gonna be there for 10 years. I don't want, we've been putting stuff around the city, that's last 20, 30 years, not just 2, 3 years. I don't wanna do something like that. So that's where things lie with the dock right now. That's helpful.
Real quick, Jim?
I've just got a question, this would be for the two chiefs. In the event that there's, I sit at the dog park every night, I watch boats come through, so I know the boating traffic there that's along from Ron Park pointing right towards Webster, and they come scooting through there like really fast. So if there's an emergency, what's the best way to get response? Who we call? 911, like
911, yeah. It goes, 911 goes to Webster.
Webster.
Are you talking about for emergency or just because you see a
Well, I mean,
boat?
my example is, so last summer, after dark, I watched a boat come through there, it had a surfer behind it after dark. And then, at the same time, coming from the same direction, coming from north going south, there was a jet ski coming by. Now, to me, it's 90 miles an hour, but what they say about jet skis are, when you're on them, it feels like 100 miles an hour if you're going 40. I mean, just the way it feels like. So if those two boats collide, what do we do?
911.
Yeah.
Both of them are wrong. I'm supposed to jet ski after sunset.
Thank you, that's it, yeah. And you hear them.
We don't.
You see?
Most jet skis don't come with running lights or.
They don't.
They don't.
They don't.
Phil, let's continue on. Phil, do you want to say something about that?
Oh, yeah, I should have said it earlier, just to confirm to everybody, I think you saw I put out a statement, just, prayers for the Tomasi family. Believe it or not, Paula was doing very well against her cancer and some other things, and was given actually a very good bill of health. But she got, from some of these things going around, pneumonia, and it was pneumonia that caught her. And, she passed away, in her sleep at Friday night, Saturday morning. And, it was a shock to the family, it's a shock to the community. I totally honor her service, because anybody who has a child today or a child back in the 90s benefited highly with her leadership as the president of the Board of Trustees, to be able to make sure there was a fair, equitable, and just generally good, sound, you know, I don't know what you call it, sourcing, or how the dimensions by which people into which schools. And it benefited this town, just tremendous. People come here a lot, not only because it's the incomparable, but it's because we've got good school systems, and that's, if there's one person I would give that to, it would be Paula. The second one is Bob Ford, and both of them are no longer with us, and shout out to Lizzie and Catherine, and I think you'll hear more from the family, that there'll be a celebration of life. Let the family.
That day is to be announced, right?
It will. She's gonna, you know, Paula has family up in New England, and they have family down here, and they're just working through those complexities. So, a shout out and prayers to Tomasi Finn.
And then for myself, again, I appreciate all of the comments that we've received in person, email, phone call, petition that by last check had over 125 signatories on it regarding the no wake, or potential no wake. Now, just a point of reference and point of order here. Whenever we write an agenda item, we want to write it as broadly as possible so we can discuss as broadly as possible. We can always rein it in and or even decide to do nothing. But if you limit your scope with the topic, then you limit your ability to discuss. And when you discuss, you might discover other things that can then later be addressed in other ways later on. And so for me, I intentionally wrote the agenda items to be broad. That way we could foster good discussion, get good information, and we can go from there. And so with that, the subcommittee reports, the aids to navigation, Jason and Jim.
So Jason and I agreed to work on a subcommittee, and I put out an invitation, but nobody took me up on it last week to go around and look at the waterways, so it just didn't happen. But I was out there doing Clear Creek cleanup, and I shot pictures, clean pictures that Troy took of the markers and stuff, so we talked about that before. It needs to be really clarified and marked. But I think that, from what I can tell, 95% of the people were in agreement, we need to slow that traffic down on the north side of the peninsula. Where the markers are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, from an enforcement standpoint.
Well, just to let people know that this is a no wake zone, not a no excessive wake zone, yes.
Yeah, I think it's enforcement, and
Yeah, because I actually thought signs were out there on the.
there are, but
Yeah.
the problem is the signs are,
Small.
small. Location-wise, on the channel, I think they need more of them where they're located, right? And then coming into Nassau Bay, the other problem is the only signs out there on pilings that are quite spread apart.
Mhm.
I think people, you know, intentionally or not, are not really paying any attention to those signs. So I think we just have to think about.
So I'll, as a person who's on the water right there where I see it, I've actually seen people tone it down. Not everybody, you've still got the people that you have to deal with, but I actually think that voter etiquette among people, that when they know to come in, and I see them coming in slower on average.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong, there's the fishermen who come in there, they just fly in and fly out.
Yeah.
You know, there's people who do that, but you know, you know, I guess I was somewhat pleased that, you know, seeing that there was some adherence to it. And I think the more we do, and, you know, the more when we get the boat out, it'll be even better.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, I think I have seen some improvement as well, but you still see a lot of variation. Like I'll see people now slow down for the channel, but then come out the channel and light it up again going through Nassau Bay. So
Me going back towards Lee City?
no, coming back into the cove, yeah.
So they probably don't see the signs as much.
Yeah, I think that,
Fair enough.
so I just think there's a lot of variation of you know, people wanting to do the right thing, but not clearly understanding what it is right now, and then there's, of course, people who don't care. So I think that's where the signage and buoys, I think that we can do more there for communication and consistency around that. And I think it will have more of an impact, probably the same way since we've already seen.
So I guess that will also kind of carry us into the new business and, new business here, old business, I'm sorry. Signage and aids to navigation, discussion regarding location, size, verbiage, purpose of signs along the territorial waters of Nassau Bay. So Jason had put together a very intricate spreadsheet with pictures of every sign that we do have out there. What it says, the picture of the item, and actually what it does say, so in case you can't read it because it's too small of a photo. And I think we should just go item by item and see what do we need to make improvements, make it bigger, change verbiage. This is the time to get ahead of it before the season really kicks into
It is, it's gonna start kicking in.
And I'll just say that the photos, I think for the most part are aligned, there may be a few that are off. I tried to match up the table that I think Tom and your team had put together, and that's where the text came from, and then with the pictures that we got to best align with that, but there may be some deviation.
So I guess, item number one, this is the an existing sign here. It says no rafting within 100 foot of the shoreline.
Yeah, so there's 3 of these, and I think that they are all in the cove area in various locations. There may be one on Upper Bay, but I think they're all, that one may be on Upper Bay, I wasn't 100%
Did you
sure.
check out Swan Lagoon also?
Yes.
The pictures?
Yeah, I think that's further down. There's one in Swan Lagoon, I think.
I know Keith Gibson had sent a comment I forwarded on to everyone. I guess the signage there is pretty much gone into Ball Harbor, going into the canals.
There's a do not dredge one, and then there's one that says no wake. There were no pictures of any that talked about rafting. This one.
None about no rafting, as you said.
Yeah, there was 4. We got pictures of Swan Lagoon, and it was 2 no wake signs, 1 no dredge, and 1 then bulkhead posted no wake sign. There. So, I mean, on the, on this piece of it, if we just take these 3 in aggregate, the no rafting, I mean, the thing that's come up in the committee before is one, ensuring that there was no anchored boats, at least in the topic that we talked before, within 100 feet of residential shoreline. And what we looked at now is that the ordinance really doesn't prevent that at all. It's just rafting, right? It's tying boats together. So I think one thing we need to discuss holistically with this that's going to impact the signage is what is it that we really want here?
Because I thought there was an item that said against any, like you said, against any fixed thing where, the speed, there's also one that says near any fixed structure.
I didn't see that.
The minimum headway speed, so basically you're making just enough speed to be able to make progress.
Bare steered way.
Yeah, bare steered,
Right.
essentially.
Terminology.
Is any within 50 feet of a structure, swimmers, another vessel, that's.
Let me go back, 'cause what I'm gonna say is I thought I saw one that had around anchor next to a fixed structure, like a bulkhead.
In the ordinance, you're saying?
In the ordinance.
Yeah, I didn't find it. I could have missed it, but the piece that I did find about the 100 feet, 100 yards, sorry, is specific to rafting. Yeah.
So essentially, someone could just park their boat, anchor their boat 20 feet off of anyone's house, and they're perfectly
Yeah.
fine to just chill out there.
Yeah.
They just can't move that raft up around that spot.
Right. So rafting, I think more than one vessel.
Yeah, so,
Board of rest.
and the way our ordinance is written, it's 2 with no more than 6 can be rafted together.
Okay.
So yeah, just before we talk about maybe actions around those signs, I think we just need to decide exactly what the intent is, and then do we proceed with the way the ordinance is written, or do we want to try to entertain changing the ordinance around that? And then having signs that reflect that.
In terms of the signs themselves, other than that third one, probably just need a little cleaning on the bottom.
I think it's fine, yeah.
And everything else, the condition, size, all that seems to be in good order.
Yep. So then going into these next 1, 2, 3, 4 are all in various places of the, inside the channel. And so between basically the channel and the code. And, you'll see there is, most of these are the ones that we have replaced, or in one case gone over, the existing no excessive wake signs with a new but much smaller no wake zone sign. And then one is actually, I don't know if that's city maintained or not, that's on someone's personal dock. The one that's still no excessive wake, that's the home that's right there on the corner of Upper Bay. And they have something there, so I don't know if that's city owned or not.
So it's listed as number 16 on, I still have the old,
It's not on that table. So this is, these numbers, I couldn't correlate the numbers in the pictures to that table, but I don't think it is. Look at that map. This
Okay,
table
so
was
this-
not on there. So that makes me think maybe it's not city maintained.
okay.
So I think the one action that, you know, has been proposed here for all of these is most of these have backer boards already in place that look to be about 2 foot to 3 foot square. So I think for those, there's an opportunity to get a much larger, sign on those that is, a more traditional no wake sign with, either no wake and the circle in between, which is the maritime symbol, or either no wake and then the 5-mile-an-hour notation in there. So I think we can really improve communication and hopefully adherence in taking those actions around those signs. Along with that, so just before we leave that area, I think down here, I made a notation on, just like increased the table, so starting with, 27 and 28. And
I'm sorry, are you calling the line item or the sign?
the line, the row number on the
Okay.
table.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. That which aligns with, the table on that printed map,
Okay.
here. So the row number and those numbers should correlate.
Thank you.
So, on 27,
That's that was the buoy.
there's one that's, maybe it was 25. Anyway, one of these, I think that we should consider then, in that same area, where I'm in now, is putting at least one no wake buoy in place. Because again, I think with those signs, if we increase the sign size, I think will help, but they're still spread out. And I don't know that they get the direct attention of voters coming in there either way. So I think having a buoy placed in the middle of that area will really improve adherence to the no wake.
Do we have any idea what this costs?
I think the last time I bought somewhere right around either 400 or 700, it was in that range. Say 500.
Say 500.
Yeah,
For the buoy, then you gotta have a chain and whatever. Oh, thank you.
I also got them on the, I could talk
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah, that might be.
Throw those up there.
So sorry, the number's just gonna be, so that's basically in that area. Then, next is, next we get in the channel, so 6, 7, 8.
Is that the number of the,
9, 10, 11, so that, again,
6 through 11 pictures?
it's not gonna be the number on the pictures,
Okay.
it's the number from the table,
That's Val Harbor, right?
that's Calvite,
That's my vote.
on up there.
That's my vote.
Travis famous.
You're famous. Yeah.
So, on this, on the, actually, no, you can go to the sign, the Nassau Bay sign,
Okay.
that's, our conference.
Oh, the big one,
Yeah.
enter the,
Yep, yep, we'll just cover that channel all right now.
So I remember when these were, and it's probably been in different time periods, but when the last time these were really
there we go.
upgraded or replaced or something.
You got that, Glenn?
It's gotta be a long time.
So basically,
Follow that rule.
I think it's, 6 through 15 on this table here. You've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pilings on the channel. And then you've got the 2 pilings that hold that sign there. So I think, this sign, the recommendation is to, get a new sign here. Obviously, replace the, no excessive weight with the no weight ordinance. And then,
Can I make a request too? Can we make it so it's not just like halfway covering a little bit of the sign either? Either put something up to make it, look like one sign.
yeah.
Make it sign.
Most likely, we'll probably put all new backer boards.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, just do it all new.
That looks kind of tacky.
Just a little.
So I just think the other piece here is if we can make it reflective as well, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, and actually, this sign is reflective.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah. We're trying to do all reflective signs.
Paul, didn't we talk about, moving those signs a little closer to the, channel? You talked about moving the buoys in, make it a little closer to the channel. It's so far away that it's still hard to read.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
or it's just a bigger sign with bigger
Bigger sign,
text.
bigger
I mean,
sign.
you've got the pilings there, so I can use them. If you put a bigger board and a bigger sign, you can do.
Get binoculars on.
Paul, you said it was what, about 850 or 900 to drive the pilot?
Yeah, it was 750, last time was 750 a pile.
Okay,
Yeah.
750 a pilot.
That's when you do a bunch of.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing is, if you're gonna reprint this sign, I would recommend, having another one just like it and put it right at the entrance of the cove. Because I think that's the other area that it's good to repeat the things like no loud music,
Okay.
no language issues, and then no rafting. And so I think that we get 2 of those done, and put one replacing here, and then one right at the entrance to the cove. Really, there's a point off the peninsula there, that, basically right, kind of here.
Okay.
We could replace it, but that would be 2 new lines.
Right before you turn to the blue. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, right here.
Okay.
So on this one, it's
You
just,
get that narrow piece there.
Got it.
we'll remove the excessive on this and keep everything the same?
Correct.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, just, if you're gonna make 2 signs that are gonna be identical.
Yeah.
Then just add the, rafting to both of them as well. That way it's on the sign entering the code. And I've got that, written down in the comment on the
Okay.
spreadsheet, so I'll
Okay.
follow up with,
Yeah.
text on that as well.
So, to make a suggestion, down at the bottom when we're talking about the music, and I'm just gonna, language is a very sticky issue. There's case law that we can't enforce language, it's First Amendment. So what one person finds offensive, another person doesn't find offensive. But as far as the music, and can we put something on there about decibel level? I think, again, we're talking about.
I think we should. I'm with you,
Yeah,
Jim.
about educating the public and letting them know that, I don't know the language you want to use, but, decibels limited to 55.
I mean, the other thing is, I don't know if you put it on there, was, I think in the workshop, just for your concern, is to say, this is a residential community.
Yeah.
And then I agree with you about that.
I mean, I don't want that sign to get too cumbersome where, everybody stops reading, second or third bullet point, but somewhere in there,
we'd be like, if you just David Blunt, we got like 30.
Yeah, that or they just, you know, come out of gear and stop to read and then cause a traffic jam behind them.
On the residential community piece, I just don't know, like, what is it, if we think about the person in the boat, right? What do we think they'll take from that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people think this is a park, a recreational park.
Right.
And it's not.
Yes.
And I think, you know, it's saying that this is a residential waterway, you know, it's not in, and I don't know if you want to say not in park or whatever. I'm not so interested in saying not park, I just, it's a residential area and our residential ordinances apply.
I think someone had mentioned earlier about saying, being clear about this is, belongs to or property of the city of Nassau Bay. Is that, do we think that's a better way of saying it, or?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I mean, I've seen some of the times where people do not think that the police or the fire boat has jurisdiction. And some of the times I've seen them get in people's faces, I think they need to know.
Well, virtually half the sign is just welcome to Nassau Bay. Could that be used to kind of, you know, alert people this is a residential area? Instead of welcoming them to us.
Welcome to Nassau Bay, a residential boating community.
City.
Or
So
something
what I
along.
I mean, you know, I think you need to be stronger than that, because that doesn't sound like it has legal force, you know, we're trying to at least educate people.
Residential.
If
This is
I put
a
myself in
residential
the-
community.
If I put myself in the boat, right, I mean, I think that if I see something denoting, you know, private property, restricted property, so something saying property of Nassau Bay or something like that, you're establishing, you know, boundary of saying this is different than somewhere else where you came from. I think that may be what we're trying to get to.
Residential noise ordinances are enforced.
So this is property of the city of Nassau Bay.
I think that
Or
has-
territory of Nassau Bay.
Yeah.
Something, I mean, don't give me kind of wordsmithing.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, you know, pretty much the same, it's just like for me, I just think it's important to make sure that you're reading a line or a few words that mean so much more, right? We can put up signs about no weight, no this, no all that stuff, but there should be something that means something to a voter when you see a sign that says this is a residential area. So it should mean something. So whatever word we come up with, it's gotta make sense to a sixth grader. That's what I recommend.
Yeah.
And it needs to be something that transmit what you want quickly, because they're gonna look at it,
Right.
read it. It's not, but I think it was the chief said, you're gonna put 30 things on there, they won't have time to read the first 3 or 4.
Yeah, they don't even read the dog park sign, much as the sign on the.
Yeah, no. It just doesn't work.
Big dog, little dog.
So then, you know, short of that, if you look at the rest of the channel, really, you know, I mean, the most comprehensive solution would be to put a no X sign on every one of the pilings on both sides. So then we kind of digress from that, maybe from an expense standpoint of saying, how many we want to put out there. But this is the actually piling at the tip of the peninsula. This isn't a part of the channel. On the channel, if you scroll back, there's an angled one piling that has a no weight zone. So this one still says no excessive weight. That is part of the channel. That is part of the channel, so that's there, and that one. Those are the two right now that are posted on the channel. So I think with those pilings, again, I think we need to get a more standard no weight zone sign that's more
Bigger.
recognizable, that's bigger, that's reflective. And really, it's just a matter of how many signs do we want to get to post in that channel, right? We've got, again, what is it, what did I say, eight markings or 10 filings. So, you know, we could do up to 20.
There's the piling also where that, you know, aid and navigation is for whatever sunken, that sunken boat that's out there.
That's in the, you're talking about in the
code.
code, yeah.
There's there too.
Yeah, it just.
Just to make sure people know it's the whole residential area.
Yeah.
There's something about in the code.
All the way.
Is it a barge? I know, I've heard people tell me it's a power boat, it's a sailboat, it's a barge. Yeah, well,
I've seen it many times, so we
yeah,
use it for training.
yeah.
So
So should we increase the, dimensions of the sign? I think these signs are 3 by 3, and our big sign is 4 by 8, so should we go 4 by 4?
So
Four
keep
by
it standard.
four.
Do you know what those no excessive weight signs were?
I believe,
I mean, they were a good size, just,
Yeah, like that.
oh,
Go back.
like that.
those, 4 by 4s.
Okay, so I think 4x4 is good. Now, the standard wake sign, no wake sign is, like, that may work. The more standard one is more of it's not square because it has the no on top, the wake on the bottom, the circle in the middle, and then sometimes 5 in the circle, like on the buoys.
So you're
So it's more of a
talking
rectangle.
about the standard Coast Guard type. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
because that's what
Right.
everybody sees.
Exactly.
Those?
My concern about, well, that's no excessive wake, and my concern about going back with a sign that looks like that but just says no wake is that people that have been around here a while may just think it's just a no excessive wake. So I think that we need to get a standard, use standard no wake signs.
Yep.
And I'd like to replace all the signs, they're due for all replacement.
I agree completely. I mean, I actually think if you do it, you put them all up,
Same time.
say, you really catch people's attention.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we can look at a final number, well, but I think you're, looking anywhere from 15 to 30 potential signs in doing that.
Now, how about the alligator?
Absolutely. Let people
So-
know the alligators there.
The only thing is, like, that particular, sign, again, I think that's, coming into the code. So, like, I think it's fine, and I think we probably also that would be a good sign to put on that, rec island, right? Because that's a lot where people gather and actually off the boat swimming.
I asked Chief about this. The ordinances, that's really important to put on there, isn't it, Chief?
What's it?
Like there, it says the city ordinance so-and-so. Did they ever enforce it with people?
I mean, yeah, it's not necessary, it's like, just like your speed limit signs and everything else, it's not necessary, but, state statute or city ordinance, I mean, it looks very official, and it probably has a little bit more impact
Right.
than, a city ordinance or whatever, so I would certainly leave that in there, but I wouldn't necessarily make that a big focus on the,
Maybe it's just a cost issue on whether you can buy standardized signs or whether
Yeah.
here you're gonna have to have them print, I guess.
Yeah, our sign company does, and all the sign, it doesn't matter if it's a city ordinance or not, I would like to keep them all the same,
Yeah.
same size, same wording,
Yeah.
alligator, if you want on there. City ordinance, I'd like to keep them all the same way, when they get damaged, we can just order them and get them pretty quick. Cause it actually costs us more money to come up with the new design than have the standard.
So that takes care of all the channel signage. So then if we get in the cove, again, we talked about having a billboard sign at the entrance of the cove, and then really the only other thing is the signs that we've talked about. That's in, I think that one's long ago.
We may need to look at raising that up a little bit.
Yeah, now, we
That's why.
don't, we've never done that sign, that may be the.
Well, that may be,
It
depending on
is.
what pipeline company's got that.
That's probably.
Might be on that side.
So in the lagoon, or sorry, in the cove, we've got the one pile in the back that has the rec sign on it. So again, I think there's an opportunity there to put a no wake sign as reinforcement, to put an alligator warning sign. And then the big question is, what do we want to do elsewhere in that cove as far as the rafting is concerned? Whether we want to designate an area with buoys or not. Those are all the less ones we have.
So, excuse me, I'm not hearing very well, but does any of this stuff include Val Harbor signage?
All those ones that he's showing about Harbor.
And it doesn't, it needs to.
Yeah.
Our focus on council is specifically to shore up really the residential area as the first part.
Sure.
So I think we include those in the quantity of the standardized signs, and we get those hung there as well. I think the good news is everything in Bal Harbor now is already no wake, we just need to get the bigger sign.
anybody know anything about this?
That's that.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
the,
That's the large.
So are we gonna
we need to replace the.
replace that with?
Yeah, so
That's-
that's a standard, rec sign.
Okay.
And so its size and everything is already pretty much regulated.
Is it?
So, yeah, so danger, wreck. So all we need to do is just go out and acquire the same size sign and.
Keep the exact same? Okay.
Yeah, but then goes on that pile and also put an awake sign on it.
Yeah.
And if you want to put an alligator warning sign there, that's probably.
Okay.
That's probably the best place to put it.
So when it says 21 on the top of that, what does that mean, Paul?
Oh, no, that's, when Troy was taking the pictures, he was just numbering them on his phone.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not actually on.
Yeah, it's not actually on there.
And then the only other piece then is, we already have so we, in Cal Bayou, there's some signage there, but I think there's already been comments about that we need to increase that signage. I think the one buoy there needs to be cleaned or replaced, it's, hopefully just cleaned.
Well, that's a personal sign, right? That's somebody's personal sign.
Yeah, that's what I asked, I don't think.
This one is a
we did that.
personal sign, and so the, I think the thing is.
I think we offer them a no-wake sign.
Or at least take it down, because now it's confusing.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, yeah, we can reach out to them.
You know, one thing coming back to the big sign, I think it would be, you know, a prudent thing to do is to say, because we don't have a lot of places to put signs everywhere, to just say from this point forward is a no wake zone.
Yeah. I just don't know if, again, the problem is that's not standard.
I mean, at some point, you know, people coming flying through there, I'm assuming you now have a much clearer reason to stop somebody to say, you know, you're no longer hard to do excessive wake if they're really coming through there. You know, you can say it's posted.
I'd rather have signs posted.
I do too, I'm just saying, I'm not saying one or the other, but in that big sign, and having other ones, but like, we don't have many down the neck of the cove area, so that's why
Yeah.
we have them where we have them,
Yeah.
but I'd also say from this point forward too, so.
Yeah, and again, I think back to.
So there's no confusion, at least minimize the confusion.
Yeah, well, I think support about few buoys would also.
Yeah, correct,
be
yeah.
pretty helpful.
They like a pile.
And these buoys, so this is, around the curve, there by the water treatment outlet, that area. There's 3 buoys there now, I think, that are in, we can buy new stickers for those buoys. So that may be a thing to do is where the stickers fade, just, if the buoy's okay, just put your sticker.
Yeah, we have that one, those are, yeah. So the language of the buoys are gonna be what we would like them to be. Just,
Well, it's the standard, the Coast Guard standard, whatever that is.
Yeah, so well, some of them, depending on where it is, some of them will set a specific 5 mile, some will say idle speed only, some will just say slow. Because where you're getting into this area right here, you're within that ordinance that says 50 feet from the structure. You're pretty much 50 foot off the structure at all points going through that area. I'd say idle speed is probably.
But if you wanna standardize.
And standardize it up there.
If you use slow, no wake everywhere, I think that's, while it's not specific to idle speed.
What helps
it's
you, chief?
saying
What
slow.
helps you the best, a specific number or just slow?
Well, the number, the boat isn't equipped with a
That's
radar
what
or
I mean.
anything like
Correct.
that. I think the no wake.
I think, but if it
Because
says slow.
Yeah, slow, no wake, idle speed, headway speed, you can still move forward and not create a wake, depending on the weather conditions, and depending on the boat design.
Yeah.
Obviously, some boats, may create a
I've
wake.
seen some of the biggest wakes by the smallest boats.
Yeah, some of the larger boats, move fairly smoothly, and they're not creating a wake, even though they're moving better than 5 miles an hour, so I think the no wake kind of, encompasses what everybody's concerned about is swamping or damaging somebody else's property. And it's easy or for the officers to identify a wake, then idle speed or 5 miles an hour.
So just have it straight up, no wake.
Yeah,
So just like this one, right?
Slow, no wake.
Yeah.
Slow, no, wait, okay.
yeah, I mean, if your boat do 10 miles an hour or 10 knots or whatever, you know, and without a wake, power to you. If you can only do, you know, 1 or 2 knots, and you're creating a wake because you got a poorly designed boat, well,
It's hard, because idle speed's different for every boat too.
yes.
Depends on the whole, shape.
The whole, your prop, everything.
Yeah.
This might be a problem.
So
with
we-
that part.
So we do everything reflective except maybe the black, but I think we get the black letter and everything reflective. The lady said about lighting them up. I've never seen them, now we can attach probably a solar light
So
to
you
it.
can buy the new buoys with lights on them.
Okay.
I don't know what that does the price. And then you can probably buy solar attachments even in place of old.
Yeah, we do it on our, channel markers.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that something y'all like to see, solar
So
light?
at least find the cost, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I look, I mean, I will
But I don't
say
think you have
that.
to do all of them, but it would be good to have some high visibility ones.
But the channels, the channel markers, which I thought that's what she was referring to, the channel markers do have lights on them
Yes,
now.
they do have, they do have.
Yeah, but we talked about that last meeting, but they're so small, in fact, the residents just told me about it, they're so small at nighttime, and you don't like them at nighttime. Kathy told me that, they can't see them at nighttime because they're so small, the lights are so small.
Well, is there,
Those are the
lenses
standard-
just getting?
You mean on the, in the channel through there?
Those are the standard ones,
Yeah, they're
and
standard.
we can see them at night.
Yeah, we
can see 'em out.
And we clean them, we do
She was
clean them.
mentioning all the way
That's
down.
probably what more it
That's
is.
the
Cleaning.
thing.
I mean, they're probably not our markers or our buoys, because she mentioned it was all the way down towards, shores and stuff, so it may not be ours.
Yeah, I think the channels, I think the Nassau Bay channel, I mean, because I voted on it as well, and also I see them from my house, I think it's lit
Yeah.
well right now.
Yeah.
I think it's just a signage issue.
Out in Clear Lake, yeah, that may be Coast Guard maintained or GLO maintained or.
There are a lot, those pylons, once you get out of Nassau Bay channel, those pylons are not lit.
Yeah.
But
Pass the word along to whoever is in charge and say, hey, it might be good.
So yeah, I think that's everything, so maybe we'll consolidate all that.
Okay.
Really for you, Paul, Tim and I'll get together and, you know, as an action item out of this meeting, get you that and we can go from there.
Okay, great.
Good pictures, good work.
Yeah, good job. Thank you, Jason. Can I add one more thing in there?
Yeah.
So I was looking at some of the Coast Guard rules and regulations about this stuff last week, I'm so bored. But one of the things they talked about also is boats going through fast and soil erosion. I mean, that's one of the things the Coast Guard mentions a lot of times too, and I think that that's one thing with the peninsula, has the same thing, same effect. A lot of erosion, boats go fast through there, roads to shoreline. It's something that's mentioned repeatedly in the Coast Guard regs.
I mean, well, that's why we put in all that grass along through
Yeah,
the
no.
lemongrass. I mean, it's to address, to try to minimize exactly what you're saying, but you're right.
And the Galveston Bay Foundation used to do a lot of that stuff too.
Yep, very true.
At least,
Yeah.
So, on to new business.
Can I ask a favor?
Yes, sir.
Can you do number 2?
Oh,
Because I have to be someplace at 5 capacity.
Okay, yes, we'll
Can I-
go ahead and, we'll flip flop.
Because I think that's the one where there's gonna be your most amount of discussion.
Yeah.
Even though I'm thinking, I'm hearing pretty consensus.
So let's go ahead and, we'll just skip item 1 for right now. So 7.2, the no wake zone. Discussion and possible action on recommending a no wake zone being established in the area of the floating dock kayak launch along Clear Creek Cow Bayou at David Park.
I'll make a motion that we wait till we get more citizens input before we vote on something like this. And the citizens are now just getting notified about this stuff.
So if we do a motion to table, it's a motion to table, gets on the floor, it gets seconded, there is no discussion. So if we want to have
You
any
have to vote,
discussion.
stuff to vote on.
Yeah, we'll have to vote on it. But then,
I would just say one thing, and I do think that the no wake zone is tied to ultimately the discussion of the dock, because I do believe if there's a floating dock there, there's gonna have to be a no wake zone.
I don't believe that. I really don't, for where they're, I mean, if you look at where the location is, you know, it's way off to the side. I think it would be an 8 navigation where the shoreline is, more than anything else.
If
Because
you-
it's not out where people come in.
I haven't looked at Easy Dock.
I mean,
Most-
if you're right, and there's less than 30 inches, 40 feet out, there's no boat gonna come. And if they do, they need a light there from us, something to tell them not to come there.
But I can tell you, I mean, so I boat back there, I row back there a lot on, and when those boats come through that turn, the wake comes to that shoreline heavy. And if that floating dock is sitting where that
That's
tide
big.
ramp is now, it's gonna get a
So
lot.
I think there's two things, whether we should put one there, but I don't believe the no wake zone and whether we put a dock, because I think, in talking to the guy, and that's one of the things I really wanna make sure, because I'm not gonna put in junk out there.
Yeah.
Is that if it's a wake or if it's a category 4, we're gonna be pulling these things out anyways, but I mean, that it's there for the long haul.
He said they could withstand a wake area?
Yeah, he gave me a list of 16 counties of riverine placements that they have. Now okay, I said, I wanna see more detail. Oh, but I mean, if you're, so I've gotten a lot of people who contacted me about just the no wake zone area thing. And I know that I've had I've had everyone at council contact me. And the city, from a standpoint, is from at least a no wake and a safe thing, really wants to focus on the residential areas from a standpoint of that the recreational aspect of that waterway is right now important to our citizens for why they moved here.
Yep.
So my view is I think, unless there's statistics, unless there's data like Jim says, I wouldn't tell you, I just wouldn't recommend it at this time.
And I agree.
I mean, I just wouldn't recommend it at this time.
What
I'm
I'm
gonna tell you is I'm not gonna put that dock in there unless I feel comfortable.
Yeah,
that the
that's
dock-
my point.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, and it's going to go in until then, and the guy's got a lot to prove before it will go in.
Because most floating dock manufacturers disclose to not having it in a wake zone. I mean, not having it in a wake zone.
So, yeah,
Because
that's,
it can take.
is that the distance right there?
Yeah, that's the difference.
And what's the distance here? 300 feet?
Roughly 300 feet. 303. So you're looking at
Where the first tick is,
correct.
at the most, yeah.
So what you're looking at, you've got, the dock structure will probably come out to about the edge of that circle, give or take.
Here you go.
Couple of feet.
I can move it to, was it like 40
It's 31
plus the
feet.
14?
Well, the 14, remember, most of that's also gonna be over the land. So you figure the dock's gonna have to sit, the piling's gonna have to sit a couple of feet over,
Keep
out
doing
into
that,
the
keep
water.
doing that. Keep doing that.
Further in,
Keep doing that.
further. So cut that in half, and that'll be the distance to the dock.
All right, just even leave it right there, just to be safe. Just leave it right there, just to be safe.
So that's what.
That's where the dock's going, and it's gonna be lit up for all sorts of lights.
Now, remember, we have that ordinance already, 50 feet, within 50 feet of a structure that you have to, be at minimum head level. That would put it out, so if you just bump it out about 95, just for argument's sake, so let's put it about here, give or take. About here.
From a safety perspective, I mean, I look at this whole area, I can make an argument so that where that path that leads to like a peace sign, right? That's reflective gardens, right?
Yeah.
I could make an argument it may be better there, but I don't know if we wanna buy reflection garden. You could actually, the only reason why we're putting it there is because there's a good dock already there, right? But I'd rather do it right, guys. And, I could make an argument it could be better on the other side of the parking lot.
Yeah, reflection.
Because it's even-
People accessing it are gonna either they're gonna have to walk a distance, and I can see a lot of them parking on Arbor Drive.
The argument is it's right by our parking lot for anybody who brings something there. That's really,
Yeah.
that's kind of built for that.
Ideal target, be built for sure.
It's really built for it. You can have, what's the distance down there? It looks wider down lower.
So it's about 400 and change.
let's say right there in that pocket, right there in that pocket. You know, there may be an argument to say it belongs right there.
Understand that about 100 foot of that's mud slide.
Yeah,
You're talking coming out from the point right here? Yeah. Still, you're looking at 90-foot zone coming out, and then everything after that, everything between there is just.
one thing I like about that was, you know, there is a lot of rock right there. Like I thought it was more than 31 inches where it goes out there. But there's a lot of rock there. And that's why I like the lit thing, is like, guys, you go to boat, you better stay around.
What's that fellow's name? There either to the house.
Where, one on the left?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It sounded like
And
you're
it just drops
It's
off.
better,
the-
telling
it's better, I mean, it
how
kind
many
of
signs you're
was,
gonna order.
you can see there was somewhat of a design to have it there, with a dock and the greens.
Wait on that stuff to get all the information. It sounded like they were moving forward.
Yeah.
No,
Hey, Brian,
you'll stay on.
your 50-foot ordinance isn't gonna apply anyway. It's gonna be unenforceable because the city doesn't have the right to regulate that.
That would be in our jurisdiction.
That's in our.
Maybe.
So,
But
I'll make
if
sure
you're
that.
gonna use that argument, and I'd like to see it spin.
I don't wanna argue, because that's really gonna be, if we can't, we can't.
I'm just
But-
saying,
but-
if you're considering 30 feet plus the 50, you ought to also consider without 50, because I don't think 50 is going to apply.
If it's,
The first time somebody gets ticketed for that, the courts are gonna say that ordinance doesn't apply, and that.
Well, I had a phone call into the Coast Guard, waiting for their waterways management division to call me back, and find out exactly, you know, as far as jurisdiction, enforceability, and things like that. So, I've got 2 phone calls, in, one from yesterday, one from this morning, and I'm still waiting for them. But yeah, we're reaching out to them to find out exactly.
we have that annexation thing, I'm sure, just go back and see what the.
Yes, well, actually, the chief said, when I signed that last, week, the 10-year lease with the GLO, and I reached out to them at the same time when chief was, and she said, anything that, I actually sent her the plans, and she said it would have to get approval through GLO and the Corps of Engineers. Yeah. So, yeah, so she's still waiting on some follow-up calls.
So the GLO, I mean, they're a big monster to deal with.
They're actually not bad, really not that bad.
Well, what comes down to abandoned boats they are.
Well, it's because nobody wants to deal with it.
Well, that's true. They're derelict boats, the way we call them.
Yeah, there's a big dollar reason for that.
Working with the GLO to, they simply identify the boat as abandoned and then tag it, and then, but it's not, they don't have the money or the responsibility to remove it, and that's the issue. But getting them to go out and actually look at the boats, they're not bad to work with.
Yeah, I don't, every time I work with them, they've been very, very actually responsive.
They come to our dead boat society meetings all the time. They're very good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I've had a very good experience with the GLOs.
So right now, we still have a motion to table, but no second.
I didn't hear you actually motion. I didn't
Well,
say you should.
he motioned to postpone.
How we get more input.
So we have a motion to table, but we do not have a second
And the motion is to table the decision until later.
until later. Yeah, just,
Yeah, so obviously, no way can do that. I mean,
It's in the current rules,
No way
yeah.
can do that.
Well, with the table, sorry, the only thing I would do is it won't, for people who are really concerned with this, they're, you know, tabling it doesn't really satisfy.
It kicks the can down the road that it can come back
I
to
mean,
something.
right now, I mean, that's what I was saying, is speaking for the people who talk to me from council, there's really not an interest to do that, we don't even have the authority to do it. So I don't even think you should table it, I think you should just say, you know, we cannot recommend one right now, because it's too difficult, we don't have.
We don't know, because now we don't know where this is going, we don't know.
But I think that would make a lot of people feel better that people are recognizing the recreational value of that waterway.
And if there's justification later, it can always
Yeah,
be brought
I mean,
up.
that's, I'll just speak, I don't think you mind, Brandon Billing was what told me, he said, you know, look, you know, I'm all for safety and things along that line. He even said the thing of being lit there may actually be a good thing, but forget that. but it was like, make sure it's durable, but he said, before making a no wake, you should actually have data that there's accidents and things like that, and that it actually is something that you should have. He said, my understanding is, there is no data on that, so there's nothing really driving it other than, anecdotal fear.
So the only thing, just again, to tie these two together again, is right, and again, I'm not promoting an no-wake zone. What I'm saying is if you don't have a no-wake zone, what is the practicality of having a kayak launch there? Because it's going to be, it's very hard to launch a kayak in an area where you've got boats flying by with wakes. It's very hard to kayak in there. So just the two are intertwined in that respect.
My belief is, from what the things, and even my humble opinion, not anything else, the kayak thing is more for his PSTD access, so when we have 50 people who wanna launch, you've got a means by which to do it.
So
And
is
it's
that-
gonna be an
is
event
that the best place
that
to
you're
do it?
gonna do and stuff
Can
like that.
I ask a question? Jim, wasn't the Camp Hope thing this year in the lake itself, actually?
Well, so we did two of them, Chief.
Yeah.
The first one, we started from the Hilton, we paddled all the way around to the marina.
Okay.
And then last year, we had a practice event, and then we did it inside the lake. So, and they like them both, there's both options right there, so.
So that's the place Jim is like.
But I
why
mean,
that-
we do
why
a
that
lot of
area?
stuff where we have something like that, we can just say, guys, no wake during this event,
Well,
right?
and
We
that's the
maybe
thing,
you can restrict things.
What you do is in those situations for a regatta parade, things of that nature,
Yeah.
you reach out to Coast Guard will then
Correct.
grant you a temporary no wake from on
Whatever.
this date, from this time to this time.
So the
I
first,
agree.
And they'll actually put that out in the notice to mariners, and it'll actually.
I don't
broadcast on
think our
16.
voters who are worried about time to be able to get out there, and again, people tell me it's not like they wanna go 70 miles an hour. They're wanting to go 25.
Yeah.
so the first time I did the event, to get clarity about it, we went from the Hilton all the way around. I got the US Coast Guard came out there with a machine gun boat, the Harris County came out there, you guys came out there, we had private boats out there, we had all the protection in the world. And then what we do, when we do our events, we don't go in the morning, we're done by noon.
Yeah, so
We're not-
Yeah, that's right.
It's a morning time event.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and say it's like 3 o'clock, so what?
Yeah, but I mean, it's
It's a
early.
one-day event at the most.
So, just one question, if the primary purpose is that, and if it's from, if you've done it from the Hilton to the marina, what's driving that location? For that.
It's always been there, there's actually a little bit of infrastructure, and it's at a point that it's at its widest,
But you're saying that's not where you launch the event?
we really couldn't.
Year one, we did it from the Hilton. Somebody brought a dock in there. We did it from the tree, paddled all around 5 miles actually, to the marina, and we had a little food festival there. The next year, we did it inside the lake. I know the lake hasn't been used that much, so I wanted to do it inside the lake and see, get a feel from it, but it's like, really like both of them.
But from what you were telling me, you wanna do it from a variety of things, just to change it up over the years.
The dock access there would save us, because one of the problems we had going all the way around that point and up to the marina where Pete lives, it's kind of a struggle getting through there, so it's just an option that if we could have them get off there, and that's just another option.
So, I mean, my drivers would be, I love supporting that, because it's a, something for our veterans who have served, who have some real issues, that this is a help. I like to say, I always want to have a good ingress, egress for, waterways that have some areas through there. And if it has some recreational things, that's good, but I'm gonna look at it from those two personal opinion.
So the other thing is that there's not only them, but there's the dragon boat people. I've been talking to the dragon boat people for a couple of years. So, I have been, trying to support us and support them. So the dragon boat people have what's called Pink Purity, and they're about breast cancer, they're about cancer awareness. And those are, big canoes is what they are.
Yeah.
Double man canoes, and it's quite a sport all over the world, actually.
But again, that would be an event.
Yes.
That would be an event.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't see any of these, that have any reason why we should restrict to a no-wake zone for that waterway.
So, I've been talking to my commissioner about the floating dock, and I showed the gal a picture, she attended my church, And they like the idea of having something like that where they can put their vessel, because right now, that vessel, it's so big, it gets launched from the Clear Lake, Beaver Bay Farm, there's no place to launch it around there. And they can't take those vessels out in rough water.
Yeah, that's,
So
that's
what do we
that's
have?
the.
That, I don't think they're gonna be able to do it there.
That's-
You gotta do it
No,
at the Beaver Bay launch.
No,
Any-
or
they do.
Any
lake
kayak,
launch.
they launch in Mud Lake, where it's no wake, at
They-
that park.
They launch in both locations, trust me.
Anyway.
So really, I guess what you could look at is that for those who do launch in between events, you could set something up, either just, you know, common courtesy, most people will see people trying to get on or off a kayak, they're gonna slow down. They're going to slow down, but you are gonna have some folks who don't.
They certainly
And at
don't.
that point, it's, the yields of pedestrian, type thing, hey, you're in a school zone, when the lights are flashing, so to speak. I guess when kayakers are present on the dock, maybe then you say, okay, slow down through here. I'm using an old steamship parlance with the.
Well,
slow
waterways
down.
are shared by all people,
Yeah.
all types of vessels.
Yes, but
I wouldn't even mind having our signs say this is being digitally, or video surveillance is used in it.
I don't think, I mean,
I know people are sensitive to that, so.
I mean, even, you know, kayaks launch from Upper Bay, and people blast through there while there's people launching the kayaks, the waves come and roll on their thing. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced what I've experienced tons of times. So the idea that because there's a kayak going in, someone's gonna slow down, especially in that location, because, as you say, right, people wanna blast through there. They love doing those hairpin turns, or they're wake surfing through there. They're not gonna stop wake surfing because someone's putting a kayak in the water. Just not gonna happen.
Well, that's why we put these signs, no fishing on that pier, because it goes up and down.
I mean, right now, we've got a lot of work to do before we even place that. And I'm gonna look at other places, cause I wanna make sure that it's in the right place, so that, again, if there's ever need for just one person having to get out of there quickly, I'd like to make sure we have some infrastructure there, just like the same thing with the finger piers on Upper Bay Road, those need to be rehabilitated, you know, I just think that's good policy.
They had structured, the company had put them in lately, and they used to be our floating yard.
But I don't want that to be confused with a no wake zone, I think it is right now.
So,
I'd like you to clarify.
So I would, make a motion
Not
Yeah.
recommend a no
to
wake
not
zone.
recommend. No.
okay, so with no second for Jim's, motion about tabling, I'm open to entertaining, an additional motion.
Yeah, so I make a motion to not put a no wake zone in that area.
Okay, just recommend not putting it in a wake zone. Okay,
Ultimately,
seconded by Herb.
ultimately, the decision on this goes back to who?
Ultimately, it goes to council, so all we do here is we make a recommendation, and then.
And I'm gonna say, there's no way I'm going to do anything unless there's something resolved with Galveston County.
But that's our property, right? That's not the other.
No, that waterway, we share that
Right, I
waterway.
know that, yeah.
Yeah, correct. And I don't wanna put our guys to say, are they
Yeah.
going there?
I wasn't gonna say, but we're not gonna enforce, we're not gonna take enforcement actions on a waterway that we have half of.
Or
Because the first argument, somebody comes to court is, yeah, and, yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah.
I mean, that's what, I don't think we're even prepared to.
I'm just learning this stuff, so.
And I still go back to Herb's thing is, I believe we have to balance safety with recreation. I think there's a very strong reason to maintain the recreational aspect of that. And I would rather us focus on the residential areas because that's where it affects our citizens. And we got a lot of work to do on that end.
So one of the
Just-
questions we brought up was any accident, so I could be wrong on this stuff, so I don't know, but at one point I seem to remember somebody was going northbound, they were tubing somebody, and that tube went into the residential area right there in Harbor Drive, right? Did that not happen?
That was
Heard that.
2000.
It was a few years ago, the gentleman was dragging one of those floats, and he was trying to make a turn there, and he threw the float against the rocks along the harbor.
Right.
So
There is backup where there's gas.
Well, he was trying to go circle.
Oh,
And he
well,
didn't realize
I-
this thing was gonna quit.
I had my office, I had Tiffany pull all the boating, marine rescues, et cetera, for police department, fire department, all the way back through the beginning of 2019, and there's no incidents of, accidents or anything like that.
That would go to Brandon Billings' question.
Yeah, there,
I mean, that's,
I reached out to Parks and Wildlife to see if they have any documentation of anything in our area, not necessarily in Nassau Bay. I mean, the only one I know of is a couple of, July 4th ago, there was a gentleman that fell off the boat, and the boat was in cove doing circles, and,
the only one I remember, and maybe before that, was the guy was on that 70-foot one who used to live on Back Bay Court. He had his 40-year-old girlfriend and her 9-year-old, son, and they made that turn there, but they didn't make the other turn. They went flying. It was like 80 miles an hour right there, and she face planted on a tree. I think you remember that one too. So.
that was probably before I was here.
It may be, but that's the only one that was at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he had a blood alcohol of like 0.25,
That's the problem with that corner, I mean, it's so dangerous, that corner is just.
Anyways, just to say, here's be a part of it. You've had a motion, you've had 2 seconds, so.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries 4-1.
I have to go.
Right.
All right,
Phil, thank you.
thanks.
See you in the morning.
See you.
Okay, so
Bye. See you.
under new business, we'll now track back to anchoring. Discussion of possible action on recommending establishing an anchorage area in the Nassau Bay Cove. So as we had discussed earlier, at the last meeting, we were all under the assumption that the 100-yard marking was no anchoring within that 100 yards from a residence. Looking deeper into the ordinance, Jason discovered that it's actually rafting within that 100 yards, so you can basically anchor almost right up to someone's back porch and steal their hamburgers.
All that discussion was going on, I was looking through the ordinance, and I don't see any anchoring. There's not even, I don't even think there's a definition of anchoring. Yeah.
So there's, so right now, what we have is the potential to recommend that council change the ordinance to include no anchoring within 100 yards, or we have a couple other ways maybe to go around it, which would also potentially establish a little bit of a navigational channel, because the nav rules say you don't anchor within a channel. And it would also create a nice pathway up and down for transit, keep people away from homes up to a certain point. You can then go out of the channel, anchor, and then we would not even have to worry about recommending they touch the 100-yard for rafting. So you'd have a rafting zone, anchoring, and then a channel. If that makes any sense.
Did we talk about one time last meeting about having a no buoy, having a buoy that said buoy, floating buoy, moored buoy?
Yeah.
We talked about that.
We talked about it, and the problem that, again, that was under the assumption that, it was anchoring, and the ordinance is only rafting, right? So all we could really do from notification standpoint is say, no rafting, or a rafting area, I guess, would be the. But we can't do an anchor designation area.
But there's a product out there I saw that had a little hook on it, we can go up there where I have buoy, or a buoy.
Oh, okay, you're talking about actual moorings.
Mooring, right.
Which that was something that had been floated a while back.
Right.
And I think even during the first meeting they had I think it was April of last year, where they had the big informational meeting down at the firehouse. And someone had mentioned that, potentially setting up an actual anchorage area with the ability to pay for a mooring and all that, but that would be, I don't know if it would pay for itself or not.
Well, and really to do that anyway, you have to first establish no anchoring, right? Because even if you have more involved there, if someone can just go anchor, you know, why would
Yeah,
they?
yeah, then exactly, yeah, designated as.
People talk about doing that in Clear Lake too, but Clear Lake's not a place to do that.
So, really, yeah. Unless I can. Yeah.
What's going on, Sailor? What's going on?
So, there's two areas where we have that, you know, where Chief had put out the 100-yard kind of, line. One which pretty much blocked off this little pocket here up by the peninsula, which, you know, for the most part, people tend to just kind of, you know, hug the peninsula anyways when they go in there, so they don't really bother anyone over here. And of course, you got the choke point, which that is pretty much right at 100 yards across. And then as you come down into here, into the inner part of the cove lagoon, you know, that kind of bumps around and marks one of 100 yards from the homes here, and you come up, so it kind of creates this nice pocket, and that's where that's where the only area you're allowed to raft. Where some people do wind up kind of encroaching in to the 100 yards, and there are folks who will anchor in here. And of course, when you anchor, you know, it kind of creates a little bit of, you know, if you have a lot of people anchoring closer by, it kind of creates a little bit of a navigational hazard, because you kind of have to dodge around them. They've got people who dive in the water and want to swim and enjoy the lagoon as well. So we've got a few options. Obviously, one is just leave it alone and let it be. One is to recommend to council that we can add no anchoring within 100 yards, and they would have to process that up through the ordinance. Or we could even, like I said, kind of create a little bit of a navigational channel all the way up.
So, Brian, the only thing I'm concerned about, if you create the channel, right, that would keep them out of, obviously, to the east, obviously serves the purpose, right? But if they're to the west of that channel, then they're gonna be closer to the residential area.
So what you can do is, when you set up a channel, you can actually designate it along the shoreline as well.
So how wide would you get, right, so you'd have your basically your red buoys on the shoreline, your greens on the outside, but how wide would it have to be to, you're basically, are you saying the channel would be 100 yards wide?
No, you wouldn't make it 100 yards wide. What you can do is you can make it 50 or 70. How wide is the channel coming in? It's not terribly wide. It's only about 60 feet, 50, 60 feet wide.
You talking about the north end?
Yeah, the actual channel coming in off the lake. You know, you want to make something wider than, wider than that down here, because you do want to, keep people from encroaching onto the residential property. So you can probably set something up 60 wide. Yeah, it's real, it's
Pretty narrow.
just.
I mean, I think that
Right there.
it's probably 30 feet.
I think you overshot it just here. Check it back, about there. So you're looking at, give or take, 60 feet, give or take a little bit. That's more than enough to allow 2 boats to pass.
So arguably speaking, a channel approach could find maybe 60 to 100 feet off the bulkhead.
So that would be channel markers or? by-
Yeah, you just put up a couple, you put up channel markers,
You say markers on poles?
Pilings?
I would put, well, pilings are permanent fixed, they don't swing unless someone takes them out, or a storm takes them out, but, buoys will swing on the chain depending on tide, current, someone dragging it. Whereas, yep, or wherever their propeller wants it to try to go. Whereas pilings they're permanent, they're not going to shift, like I said, unless someone really does something to it, in which case you've got a bigger problem on your hands.
Pilings, yeah.
What's the,
So, let me ask a question, I'm sorry.
no, please go.
So, not being a great voter or anything like that,
Here's,
Jason may know, the people that come out to the code, how many of those people do you think really know the requirements of being away from the channel? As opposed to putting something out there that's defined as, here's a marker, you gotta stay on this other side.
I think that by and large, people would not anchor a channel. I think that's true, right? I think the problem is that the channel's gonna, you can't make it so wide as to really hit the intended purpose.
Right.
And so, look, I think the best solution is if you really don't want people anchoring there, to change the rules. I mean, I think that's really the best solution. And you don't have the expense of necessarily, now you still have to mark it, so.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we were looking at was marking.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the defined 100-yard line.
Yeah, but to be fair, again, even if you had signs in the bulkhead that say, no anchoring within 100 feet, I think you'd get probably pretty good adherence to that as well.
Yeah, it's just people would be having to eyeball.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. So the big question is like, how successful do we, if that's what we're really trying to get after, how successful do we think we can be in getting that ordinance changed? And I have no idea what that looks like and how long that takes. But that's really the best comprehensive
Well,
solution.
it would have to go before council, if the council wanted to approve it or incorporate it, it would take 2 readings, so 2 council meetings.
So the process would be is if we say, if we recommend the council do X, I would then have to reach out to the city attorney to take the human normal English speak and put it into their ordinance and legalese. So however long it takes, Dick Gregg to do that, then it would have to be, the mayor or 2 council members would have to put it on the agenda. We'd have to go through a first reading. They would, then they can make any changes they want. If they make significant changes, then it has to go back for a first reading. If it clears the first reading, then they've got to wait till the next meeting, second reading, we'll hold public comment on it. And then if everything goes according to plan, they vote on it, everything's great, and then they've got X amount of time before it actually becomes recorded and codified. So it's a process it's not an overnight thing. It's going to take, you figure, 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, just even get ready.
The good news is, we already have language in there that we're really just looking to change one term and not forever. We're just looking to take the rafting language and change rafting to anchoring.
Rafting and
Do we really want to put more poles out there? I don't go to the parties in the code that much. Do we really want to put?
It's just the code.
Just the code.
Yeah, the code. Yeah, just the code now.
That's what I'm saying, just the code. I don't go out there a lot, so there's a lot of, put more structures out there, is that a smart thing?
So I was just mentioning some quick, what, I was thinking like the exact same thing. And honestly, just sitting here really trying to absorb like the why behind the anchorage. So I get I'm okay, I'm totally fine, okay, 100% with the changing of the verbiage to anchorage and mooring. I'm fine with that. But then the next set of questions is like, how many vessels actually go through there to get to their homes, where the channels are and whatnot? And does it really necessitate, pylons? Because we did have conversation, some discussion about if we're just gonna like anchor it and, excuse me, we could just have one we can just have one nav, one color, right? That, just like when you're coming out of Kima, coming into the lake, right? So you either stay left or right, depending on where you're coming from. So that's kind of where I was just thinking at that point, nothing definitive, is okay, I'm fine with the language change, but then does this become a hazard to navigation in what we're doing?
And I said, you know, we had just kind of spoken about putting pilings in, you know, at the last meeting, just to mark where it is. It doesn't, you don't have to do that.
Sure.
We can just kind of let people, you know, again, educate and inform,
Yeah.
and then if it becomes a problem, chiefs people can go out there and enforce.
You know, one of the big things that we're doing here is educating through words, through signs, right?
Yep.
And I think that the signage is gonna take care of a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
To include more in April. And then I think that would be like a next possible step is if we actually have to, you know, put some posts out there or something, but, you know, I know nobody's asking my opinion right now, but I don't care. It seems like it would be a hazard to navigation in that little confined area.
And
you know,
that's, yeah, and that's definitely something to take into account. Like I said, we can recommend that they change the ordinance, we can put the signage up that says, you know, reminds people to go anchoring and rafting in 100 yards from this point. And, you know, mark it along the bulkheads, you know, you really wanna see it, if you're looking at the bulkhead, that's what's gonna tell you, you know, hey, 100 yards from here. And then, yeah, it's gonna be, you know, a lot of that's just gonna be people just kind of taking a visual on it. And some people might look at it at 100 yards, and their 100 yards might really be 110 yards or 120. Some people might look at it and it might be 90. If someone's looking at it and it's really only 50, then, you know, that's when we can say, okay, you know, and if it becomes a problem, again, that's when chiefs people.
And I understand the navigation issue, but for our enforcement purposes, it's a lot easier if we can show somebody, there's 100 yards right there, you know, that buoy, there's 100 yards over there, that buoy. You know, we go out there and they're 75 yards, and, you know, hey, you need to pull anchor and, you know, go 20, and then they're like, there's gonna be an argument, there's gonna be a discussion. If there's a definitive sign or buoy or marker or whatever says 100 yards, this side, you know, and then, you know, hey, you need to be over there.
Right.
If that's what the committee wants.
Right.
If the committee doesn't want, you know, that's fine, but I feel like if you're gonna go forward with that anchor, you know, rafting and or anchoring, then to help us out, we need, you know, needs to, and not, that's not part of the ordinance, but we need to put some kind of markers in there for those people that wanna, you know, push the limit a little bit.
I think anything we can do to help them do their job is really important for us.
Well, it'd be nice, you know, the optimal thing would be people come out there, see the buoy and say, oh, I gotta stay on this side, and we don't have to do anything.
Right. Now, what you said is perfect. You said see the buoy. I'm fine with the buoy. I'm not fine with the post. But we vote, right? And it is what it is.
Well, and here's the other thing too, is we also discussed additional reminders about no wake through there.
Sure.
And while we can place a few of those no wake buoys at the 100 yard, that gives the chief and the visual, this is the 100 yard marker.
So instead of having a buoy that says 100 yards, that marker is 100.
Yeah, then you guys know that, you know, your people know that buoy is 100 yards, and we can put out, you know, information and literature when because we do want to disseminate this information to the general public, make sure they're aware, hey, just a heads up, these buoys in here are also, you know, the 100 yard mark. It's multi-purpose, not too intrusive on the eyes.
Like they did before during COVID.
Of so the whole code. So down here.
Yeah, I think we got.
Just to give you reference, those marks, those marks off the
So you can do it here.
correct, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's true.
So it's about a little over 200 yards. It's just like eyeballing it, in the heart of it.
Yeah.
Oh, at least, the heart of it, you got 200 plus yards.
Yeah, here's
You're spending
Well, the thing is, it's already 100 yards for rafting.
Understood,
Yeah.
but
The point is to, the intent is to keep people from anchoring.
Too close to the.
I fully appreciate that. I just wonder if 100 yards leaves too little space for all those boats that are in there on the busy weekends.
I think that really on a busy weekend, you go through there, most boats are gonna be probably 100 yards from the.
Right. That looks like pretty accurate.
I think it's really changing the behavior of a few, not a lot.
Oh, I agree with that. But you got some big boats in there on some weekends.
Yeah.
And you get 3 or 4 of those, and you can't put more than, what,
They're
5
usually-
together?
they're
Maybe
usually-
people leave, maybe that's the result, but if all those people are gonna stay, they're gonna be crammed together in that limited amount of space. Your answer may be somewhere a little shy of 100 yards.
And of course, on top of that too, I mean, if things get very packed in there, a little bit of leniency and discretion to,
Yeah.
you know.
Police don't want that, though. They want a line if you can give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, but again, going to the purpose, right, is representing people of Nassau Bay in that sense, right? But for the safety and courtesy of the property owners, I mean, it's, if it means that some people come from outside don't anchor because they feel it's congested, that may be okay as opposed to aggressive on.
Well, sure, some of those people in the cove live in Nassau Bay, they just don't live right next to the mountain.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're just dealing with outsiders.
Understood, but from an overall quantity number, it's, if you go in there on, Labor Day weekend, right, what do you think the percentage of people in there are from Nassau Bay? It's gonna be low.
Probably, but I don't anyway. All I'm suggesting is, while I support the folks living right there, and I get why they don't, there are other folks in Nassau Bay who use that.
Sure.
And we have to have them in account too. It just can't be the property owners right there. That's all. 100 yards just seems like a lot to me, if you're not allowing boats in there at all.
And the 100 yard rafting thing was established in, I want to say it was 2000.
But I bet, if you go out there on a regular weekend, you'll find many boats not rafting within 100 yards.
Of the, local.
Yes, if that line where Chief showed it to me was, there are people inside of that, they're not rafting, or many of them aren't rafting, but you got individual boats over there.
Now, are they just adrift or are they anchored?
No, they're
properly
anchored.
anchored?
They're anchored.
I mean, my experience is most of the folks that anchor do so in that, area.
Agreed, but some of that's within the 100-yard line, based on what maybe you showed us.
So I mean,
That's probably not an issue really for this, that may be just for the council to decide whether 100 yards is right.
Yeah, and that was, the 100 yard rafting was established back on the site. So it's been, 18 years since they last touched it.
Right. But now you're talking about keeping all boats out of rafted or other.
no, just anchor.
Okay.
Not transient.
Not, sure.
Yeah, not transiting,
Okay.
not underway, not.
You're talking about keeping solo anchored boats more than 100. That's a change, and it's gonna cut down on these things. The majority of the boats that are in there, in my experience, do not raft. The problems probably are the ones that are rafted. I hear that. The majority of them are not rafted, I don't think. Not that I'm much, I don't go to the much, but when I do.
From a noise perspective, anything else, is there, I don't know, do you think there's a trend to rafted versus individual anchored boats?
So when the guys are out there, I mean, the noise ordinance already is 55 decibels. I mean, if you put a decibel meter in here, we're above 55 decibels, just in this meeting. So, I mean, it's very difficult, but when the guys are out on the boats, they can't disseminate one boat over another, and certainly from the shoreline, it all accumulates, as it, gathers, and we all know, the sound across the water is much different than across land. So it's not necessarily one location or another, but, the rafting boats do tend to party a little bit more, I guess. So,
Based on my experiences out there, and I've seen the enforcement comes, it's rafting and it's individuals. You can't say that it's just the rafters or the individuals. And if there is one boat or a raft of boats that's too loud when we're out there, the officer will navigate over there and knows. It turns out and they're pretty quiet.
It's addressed.
Most of the time. They do have a few jerks, but most of the time.
yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, Jason, it's not one, it's not rafting or individuals outweighs the other. It's just whoever's out there on that day, you know. And, it also, I guess, depends on their sound system that they have on the boat, you know, when they want to show off and, you know.
I stand on Seacoast on the weekends and I can't tell who's playing what. Traveling across.
So getting back to the anchoring versus rafting versus, all of that, from what it looks like in the discussion, we probably need to gather a little bit more data. I know Chris Wilkie had offered the use of his drone. And I think from there, we can probably, on a few weekends as the season starts heating up, we can get gather some data, and then revisit this at a later time. We don't have to tackle all the world's problems all at once.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be good to see, like, on an average weekend, you know, how many boats are actually individually anchored in that area.
Yeah, and that's some good data that we can gather. What we can do regardless of the situation, if we are looking at putting, some additional no-wake buoys down there, maybe we do just set them at the 100-yard mark anyways. And some people, and we do let people know, hey, that's the 100-yard, that is the 100-yard mark for rafting and whatnot. That alone may curtail a lot of things. And kind of go from there. So, I guess that I would need a motion to table that, until we gather more data. Or we can just go without a motion. Yeah. So, in which case then, if there is no motion, then we'll just get on to the last topic, which should be pretty quick. That's item 3, National Safe Boating Week. Discuss and possible action on recommending the mayor issue a proclamation declaring May 17th through 23rd, 2025 as National Safe Boating Week in Nassau Bay at the May 2025 regular city council meeting. So since 1957, the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary, in conjunction with the U.S. Coast Guard itself, Power Squadron, and a bunch of other maritime organizations, receives a proclamation and a declaration of National Safe Boating Week, which is an enhanced and increased focus on boater safety. They typically kick it off with wearing your life jacket to work day type stuff, and bringing awareness to being safe on the water. It gets out for the real kickoff to the summer boating season. And Coast Guard Auxiliary and National Safe Boating Week organizations do encourage that local, state, county governments issue a proclamation if they can. And so we're going to ask for that. We can recommend to the mayor. They've already got predetermined verbiage that just insert city name here. We can invite the local auxiliary flotilla from Seabrook in to receive it from the mayor. But I want to get that out now. That way they have time to prepare all that, make the invitations. And then the meeting that month, actually, I believe, is right there the week before. May 12th with the Safe Boating Week going Saturday the 17th through Friday the 23rd. So it would be right there to start, right before we start Safe Boating Week.
Are you recommending we give life jackets to the kids at school?
All right. So moving on. Paul has koozies.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, this is something that chief guys were pass out that would,
We started that.
That's a smart idea.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's a smart idea.
So trying information.
Oh, I got a whole
Yeah.
Pass it down to Jeff and Jim and them.
Two-seat discussion, I think that's fabulous. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
I just wanted to move straight forward, but, typically I think it's an outstanding way for us to get the word out, to submit what we do and what is important, and for this information to be disseminated across, the community. I think it's an excellent idea.
And then Paul, you got,
I'm ready to move.
a crate of these or?
Yes.
Cost
Yeah,
of
we have
them?
a home.
So I
We
mean,
can
even,
order more.
well, I'm just saying, like during that particular council meeting, hand them out to
We just
everyone
need
that's in
to,
attendance.
I need to get them updated with,
Yeah.
like,
With Margaritaville.
That's okay.
But, I know you have a way to get information on the back.
I can get a t-shirt blaster and shoot them to
Yeah.
picture.
So I guess if we could, we can entertain a motion.
Good. Now, I move that we recommend to the mayor to, issue a proclamation declaring May 17th through the 23rd of 2025 as National Safe Voting Week.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
If I forget, remind me about that time we had some promotional videos that we did a couple of years ago about safe voting. We've got 2 of them, in our repertoire.
Okay.
And we'll push those out on social media.
Excellent.
Donald Linder did one, and then we did another one, if I forget.
45 pound did one.
Well, they did both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, Donald Linder did one, and then there was another one with, the next year, and it was a combination of, well, I, one more time. Yeah. Or that's the big one.
So, with that, motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Okay, first, second, favor? All right, it is 5:10.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Stream off if people have any.
Thanks
Giving
for
up
the
on
work,
us.
guys.
Thanks for the word.
Charlie Bell, nice seeing you, Jim.
You have a, party cove over there?
I don't party go much,
I
but.
mean,